Yeah, yeah. I'll take them in.
Yeah, because they'll only
I hear
by
you.
now they should be looking.
I hear you, Nan. It's not a problem.
Very nice.
Now let us settle into a spirit of worship with a moment of quiet to be followed by the music of Matt Johnson, Wedding Song. You are also invited at this time to light a silent candle of joy or sorrow. We light this chalice for the mystery that moves among us, the questions that have no answers, the beauty that cannot be measured, and the love that grows in the spaces between knowing and not knowing. May this flame remind us that wonder itself is holy.
My brother had a place down by the river. He'd wake with the dawn to hear the birds sing. And he and his wife, they did love the tall willows. They'd speak to his heart and tell him all things. He had an old rowboat. He'd row to the middle and just sitting there watching the loons as they dive. That ancient sweet cabin, it made his heart beat strong. It kept him happy, it kept him alive. We all need a muse that will stay with us true, a way of creating, a way to renew. The song of the meadowlark, song of the loon. We all need a way to stay true. But things change. He and his wife, they did split up. The cabin a victim of dreams gone astray, and the joy that he found in that ancient sweet cabin, he found that joy was then taken away. His heart became heavy, companionship lacking, would sleep in each morn, just missing those birds. His poetry vanished, and his color went blacking. Where was that feeling he could put into words? We all need a muse that will stay with us true, a way of creating, a way to renew. The song of the meadowlark, song of the loon. We all need a way to stay true. My brother, he's gone now. He's found greener pastures. It's only his memory inspire me these days. Tales of his kindness spread out from his doing. It's not only poetry that makes our lives clay. See the good that we do, it blossoms behind us, like Johnny Appleseed planting his trees. The healing, the helping, the good works of living, these are the ancient sweet cabin we leave. We all need a muse that will stay with us true, a way of creating, a way to renew. The song of the meadowlark, song of the loon. We all need a way to stay true. For me, it's my brother and many good people with eyes focused higher and gaze fixed above. living life daily and making a way to make every step into a path of love. It's my brother, it's Lincoln, it's King, and it's Gandhi. Their memories bright, their memories strong. It's their path that inspire me. Great tales of goodness, new channels of living inspire my song. We all need a muse that will stay with us true, a way of creating, a way to renew the song of the meadowlark, song of the dove. We all need a way to see love. We all need a way to stay true.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester, a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world. My name is Michelle Hernandez, and I am one of your worship associates this morning. We begin by acknowledging that in Worcester, Massachusetts, we work, learn, live, and worship on the seized ancestral homeland of the Nipmuc people, who thrive and remain active as the Nipmuc tribe. If you would like to learn more about the Nipmuc community, please see the brochure in our foyer. We offer a special welcome to those of you who are new or visiting with us for the first time this morning. We are delighted that you are here. We hope that you will join us in Fellowship Hall following the service for refreshments and conversation. If you have questions or desire more information about this service, or any of the ministries or programs of this congregation, please do not hesitate to ask. We invite you to fill out one of the pew cards found, or one of the cards found in the pews. These cards can be placed in the offering plate or given to one of the ushers or greeters this morning. For those of you who are joining us online this morning, we offer you a very special welcome. For safety purposes and so that we might come to know you better, as you are able, please place your name on your video feed. Please take a moment to sign one of the attendance clipboards that are now being circulated. Though you are not obligated to sign, we appreciate your information and will use it only for church purposes. During this service, we offer an opportunity to share a brief personal joy or sorrow. If you would like yours to be read aloud by the minister, please print it on an index card and drop it in the collection plate when it comes around. These cards will also be posted outside the minister's office to be shared with our friends at other services. For those of you online, you can place a joy or sorrow in the chat, preceded by the words, "Please read," and we will share it during this time in the service. In the foyer, there are listening devices, large print service programs, and hymnals, and pew cushions for those of you who may find their assistance beneficial. Please see one of our ushers who would be pleased to assist you. At this time, I invite you to turn your technology to worship mode. And finally, please note the announcements on the back of your order of service. There will be time for short verbal announcements following the postlude. And as I am up here in front of you at this time, I'd like to make 3 announcements myself. Which is your prerogative. That's why I'm here. As many of you know, I am one of the co-chairs of our annual church yard sale. We begin accepting donations this Wednesday, 9 a.m. We'll accept donations from 9 to 6 on Wednesday and Thursday, and from 9 to noon on Friday. The sale this year is being combined with an outdoor craft and vendor fair, similar to what we have in December. Our yard sale will begin at 9 a.m. this year, this coming Saturday. I will be in Fellowship Hall during coffee hour with a sign-up sheet. I'm looking for some more volunteers, if you can help. The next announcement, as most of you know, I have been serving as the treasurer of this church for the past 6 years. I serve on the board of management because of that. Our annual meeting is this coming Sunday. At the meeting, we will vote on some new members at large. We'll vote on officers, and we'll be voting on the budget for fiscal 2027. So to this end, if anyone has any questions, I can hold a little meeting after coffee hour. I have a detailed copy of the budget. If anybody has any questions, I'll be available after coffee hour. Thank you.
Would you please join together in our opening words? No, you're not going to join together in the opening words. I'm going to invite Andrew to come forward to deliver our opening words this morning.
Welcome all who gather here, the certain and the uncertain, the curious and the weary, the answer seekers and the question keepers. You who come into this space carrying so much, the puzzles of your lives, the unfinished stories, the moments that refuse to make sense, and the quiet ache of wanting to understand. But here we loosen our grip on the need to know everything. Practice resting in the mystery of the moments beyond our understanding, not as a problem to be solved, but as a companion on the journey. For mystery is not the enemy of the truth. Mystery is the spaciousness where truth grows. It is the fallow field in the heart, the place where new seeds can take root, when we stop plowing the soil with the unease of our not knowing. Mystery softens our rigid edges, widens our compassion, reminds us that we belong to something vast and interconnected, something we may never fully name but often feel. So let us enter this time with open minds and open hearts. Let us breathe deeply into the questions that shape us. Let us welcome wonder, welcome uncertainty, welcome the sacred that moves in ways beyond our understanding. May this hour invite us not to know more, but to trust more. Trust the unfolding of our lives. Trust the wisdom that emerges in silence, and that mystery itself has gifts to offer. Come, let us worship together.
Now, let us join together in our opening hymn number 1003, found in your teal hymnals. Please rise in body or in spirit. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Do you see that there are 4 numbers? That means we get to meddle. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to divide the congregation over here between 1 and 2, and then divide over here 3, and from here forward 4. So here's what I'd like to happen. I would like the number 1s to begin singing, and you're going to go through that first part twice, and then you're going to hit into the second part. And when they head into the second part, I'm going to bring number 2s in on the number 1 part. And we're going to go right around the room. All right? So you guys get to solo. You get to solo for 1 part. Let's try it. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we? Here we go, number 2s. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Number 3s. Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? 4s. What are we? Where are we? Here we go. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Please be seated. Yes, you can give yourself applause. You made it through completely. And no more excuses about, I can't sing, I don't want to join the choir. Right? Because y'all can, and Matt was listening. Right? It's time for our Change for Change, which is our weekly opportunity to invite the participants in our religious exploration program to come forward with their baskets. Our basket bearers who collect change each time we gather for worship in order to continue the ministry of the church's emergency fund. I invite those of you who have change this morning that you'd like to contribute to raise your hands, and one of our basket bearers will find you. Couple more hands. And I'll take a basket, and then Mr. Wilkin take a basket. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you so much. Peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere When I think how far an onion has traveled just to enter my stew today, I could kneel and praise all forgotten miracles. Crackly paper peeling on the drain board, pearly layers of smooth agreement, the way the knife enters onion and onion falls apart on the chopping block. A history revealed. And I would never scold the onion for causing tears. It is right that tears fall for something small and forgotten. How at meal we sit and to eat, commenting on the texture of meat or herbal aroma, but never on the translucence of onion. Now limp, now divided, or its traditionally honorable career for the sake of others disappear. The words of Naomi Shihab Nye came back to me this week. After 3.5 years, we finally finished our kitchen remodel with the installation of new ceramic tile backsplash behind the counters and the stove. In a moment of sheer joy as we reset the counters, my wife handed me a bag of onions and said, "These are for the pot," and then handed me 2 more which had sprouted long green tendrils and said, "These are for the garden." I thought to myself, what tenacity these 2 bulbs have as I remembered the words of the poet. In that moment, I thought of the journey these bulbs had taken and how, even far from the ground in which they began their sojourn, they continued to carry within them the longing to grow. Which brought back another favorite reading by Mary Yes-Grieco from her book, The Kitchen Mystic, which I came across once in an anthology of readings on spiritual literacy. She writes, "I see God in onions. I always have. I remember the first time my mother sliced into an onion when I was about 6. I stopped my playing, awestruck. What is this vegetable that is so pure, so watery white, so many layered and concentric rings that make mounds of perfect circles as they fall open onto the cutting board?" I begged her to let me cut some. Despite her warning that it would make my eyes burn, I can remember the concentration and the reverence welling up within me as I awkwardly tried to make perfect slices. My eyes did burn, and I had to stop after a few cuts, but I vowed that I would understand onions someday and cook with them myself. My contemplation of the mystery of the onion continues to this day. As an artist, I have paid homage to my friend the onion by creating a stained glass window of an underground bulb that now hangs in a local food co-op. As a cook, I have learned how to coax the sweetness out of an onion and to tame its fire into mellow good humor. I can cut them now without crying, but not without pausing for a brief moment. Red onions are especially divine. I hold a slice up to the sunlight pouring through the kitchen window, and it glows like a fine piece of antique glass. Cool, watery white with layers delicately edged with imperial purple. Strong, humble, peaceful, with that fiery nub of spring green at its center, aspiring to sprout, and I become more. Ah, look at this one. I cry to my husband and my daughter nearby, and they look at each other and they smile at me tolerantly. That is a really nice one. They don't get God in onions the way I do, but they know that we mystics have to stick together. The first line of the second paragraph caught my attention. My contemplation of the mystery of the onion continues to this day. Mystery is a word with a fascinating etymology. Its earliest precursor is a form of the Greek Mayan, meaning to close or shut the eyes or the lips. Surely they must have been cutting onions when this word evolved. Then Old Latin added to the evolution the concept of mysterium, which referred to secret worship or sacred things. Old French followed with mystère as a term for a hidden meaning, which gave rise in the 14th century to the Middle English word mystère, which often focuses on religious truth and divine revelation. A word that began as a description of a human response to that which could cause one to close their eyes and their mouth, in other words, to fall silent, becomes the primary means to describe a religious experience. Notice that the original meaning did not carry the modern sense of something that was unexplainable. The root is in the human response to that which transcends sensual experience. I think this is an important part of what we need to recover from the term, especially in an era in which we're living. Hear the words of the American playwright Eve Ensler of the Vagina Monologues fame. Why are we suddenly a nation and a people who strive for security above all else? In fact, security is essentially elusive, impossible. We all die, we all get sick, we all get old, people leave us, people surprise us, people change us. Nothing is secure. And this is the good news, but only if you're not seeking security as the point of your life. Here's what happens when security becomes the center of your life. You can't travel very far or venture too far outside a certain circle. You can't allow too many conflicting ideas into your mind at one time, as they might confuse you or challenge you. You can't open yourself to new experiences and new people and new ways of doing things. They might take you off course. You cling desperately to your own identity. Of course, now you can no longer feel what another person feels, because that might shatter your heart, confuse your basic thinking, destroy your whole structure. Ideas get shorter. They become sound bites. They're evildoers and saviors, criminals and victims. Those who are not with us are against us. It gets easier to hurt people because you do not feel what's inside them. But all of this offers only a false sense of security. Real security means contemplating death, not pretending it doesn't exist. It means not running from loss, but feeling it, surrendering to sorrow, entering grief. Real security is not knowing something when you don't know it. Real security cannot be bought or arranged or accomplished with bombs. It is deeper. It is a process. It is the acute awareness that we are all utterly independent and that one action by one being in one town has consequences everywhere. Real security is the ability to tolerate mystery, complexity, ambiguity, indeed hungering for these things. As if continuing Ensler's meditation, Jamie Holmes writes in his book Nonsense, or their book Nonsense, the roots of prejudice can be traced to a general cognitive outlook characterized by the hunger for certainty. Let me say that again. The roots of prejudice can be traced to a general cognitive outlook characterized by the hunger for certainty. Prejudiced people, Alport wrote in his landmark book, The Nature of Prejudice, seem afraid to say, "I don't know." They have an urge for quick and definite answers, cling to past solutions, and have a preference for order, but especially social order. Such people adopt concrete, if rigid, modes of thinking, cannot tolerate ambiguity when making plans, latch onto what is familiar, safe, simple, definite, and fail to see all relevant sides of a problem. What Ensler, Holmes, and Allport all seem to point at is the underlying truth that there are truths that can only be known when we stop interrogating the universe long enough to feel them. Which takes us back to the transsensual experience from which the word mystery itself is born. Furthermore, when we encounter those things that make us, take us beyond our desire to figure it all out and to just be, we experience beauty and joy and love. As the author Ken Newberg once wrote, when all the words have been written and all the phrases have been spoken, the great mystery of life will still remain. We may map the terrains of our lives, measure the farthest reaches of the universe, but no amount of searching will ever reveal for certain whether we are all children of chance or part of a great design. And who among us would have it otherwise? Would you wish to take the mystery out of the experience of looking into a newborn infant's eyes? Or the comedian, now of blessed memory, Gilda Radner, who once opined, "I want a perfect ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme, and some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it, without knowing what's going to happen next. Delicious ambiguity." In the UUA Tapestry of Faith curriculum, Spirit and Practice, the authors tell the story of the mystic and the scientist, saying, one day a religious man approached a mystic and asked, "Does God exist?" "Allow me to go within for an answer," the mystic replied. And after meditating for quite some time, expanding her heart consciousness to embrace the totality of existence, she answered, "I don't know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is more mysterious and more wonderful than I could ever imagine. I know that you and I are part of something much larger than our own lives. Perhaps this something as larger as what you seek." Then the religious man approached a scientist. "Does God exist?" he asked. "Let me think," said the scientist. And so she thought. She thought about the vastness of the universe, 156 billion light years, and something like 936 billion trillion miles in diameter, and the almost immeasurable smallness of the quark. And she thought about how the energy of the Big Bang fuels the beating of her own heart. And then she answered, "I don't know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is more mysterious and more wonderful than I could ever imagine. I know that you and I are part of something much larger than our own lives. Perhaps this something larger is what you seek." And the religious man thought to himself, he thought of what he knows and what he does not know. He thought about how he knows what he knows and how he knows he doesn't know what he doesn't know. He thought about his experience of the world and how it is but one tiny, infinitesimal fraction of all experience. He thought about his dependence on forces larger than himself, and he thought about the interdependence of all existence. He experienced wonder and pondered mystery. And then he knew in his soul the truth of what the mystic and the scientist said, that he is part of something much larger than his own life. And then, only then, did he think about what he'd call it. In a day and age when categorization of everything, including each other, into a preconceived boxes of our own secure knowing are thought to be necessary precursor to every encounter, the notion of coming to know something without naming it seems utterly foreign. And yet it is exactly this that frees us to move beyond the boundaries set for us by our own minds and those of others that surround us. In my own life, the most poignant example of this was the moment that my mother called me in the spring of 1998 to tell me that she had fallen in love with her friend Nancy and planned to move in with her. The woman who had been my father's steadfast companion for over 28 years, who had walked the way of life and ministry with him, cared for him in the years of his own demise, and grieved that loss with a very full heart, was in love again. Her coming out, though, was complicated by her thoughts about the arrival of her first grandchild that next fall. "Do you think the baby will accept lesbian grandmothers?" she asked. "Mom, I hear you, and I want you to know that labels here don't matter. What matters is that you've discovered love again, and we all couldn't be happier for you." Or as a favorite poem, again by the poet Naomi Shihab Nye reminds us, "The Arabs used to say when a stranger appears at your door, feed him for 3 days before asking who he is, where he's come from, or where he's headed. That way he'll have enough strength to answer, or by then you'll be such good friends you don't care." Let's go back to that. Rice? Pine nuts? "Here, take the red brocade pillow. My child will serve water to your horse." "No, I wasn't busy when you came. I was not preparing to be busy. That's the armor everyone put on to pretend they had purpose in the world. I refuse to be claimed. Your plate is waiting. I will snip fresh mint into your tea." Amen, and blessed be. If we were to take our offertory as an example of what was just described, I would invite you to consider that the money that is in your possession is part of that which has journeyed to you. Either that physical money that you carry, although not many of us carry that anymore, or the transactions that have taken place over time for that money to arrive where it lives for you. How many lives it touches, how many places that transaction occurs, how many people are involved in creating what you would describe as a resource or wealth. How many lives are touched by it? And recognize that in our offering, we continue that journey by touching that which is larger than ourselves, inviting us to contribute to a community that continues to uphold the values that we share, and the ministries that continue to serve a community that we adore, and the work that continues to remind us that the world can change. In a day and age where so much seems to be fraught, we can be secure in the notion that even in the mystery of our own monetary resources, we make a difference. And so our offering will now be received. Given another measure of meaning because of our capacity to share them in the midst of a company that claims you as a co-journeyer. So I invite those of you who have joys or sorrows this day to come forward and form lines on either side of the sanctuary, to come and speak briefly into the microphone, telling us first who you are, so that those online and those using our auditory enhancement devices might also participate in this important ritual, and then to light a candle if you so desire. For those of you who are online, I would reiterate, we welcome your joy or sorrow. If you would place it in the chat, preceded by the words, please read, so that we can find it quickly. We'll also share it during this important time in our service. The joys or sorrows to be shared this day.
Good morning. My name is Maura Rouse, and as many of you know, I'm a member of the stewardship team. And you'll notice that we're doing coffee hour today. So the reason I'm in front of you is that there are two of us on the stewardship team, and Dave's out of town. So I want to thank the investment committee for stepping up and helping host coffee hour today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul, and dealing with allergies here. On June 2nd, 1997, my father passed away from he had a long, April 1st, 1997, there was a big snowstorm in the air, as you recall. But and it was kind of bizarre, because what happened was that, like, I would visit him, in the hospital, and find myself being like a quasi-caretaker. And there's one thing that I kind of like got struck with, is that, he said, for all I've done, you were the last person I expected to help me out at this time in my life. And I said, wow, I don't know whether it was a backhanded compliment, but nevertheless, I forgave him, because, when he died, and I buried him. I didn't have to think of any arguments in my head with him, but it's God, and life goes on. I also remember back when I first started coming to this church, a lot of people had dark hair, including me. And some had hair, but we won't go there. But now it's getting gray. Who knows what you'll call it? But that's it.
Hi, I'm Kim. As most of you know, I'm a teacher. I'm worried about students that don't have a safe place, that school is their safe place, and very soon school will be out, and their safe place will be gone for 6-10 weeks. I'm worried about their food scarcity, so please give more in the summer to the food pantry, because they're in Worcester, they rely on those free school meals they get, morning and breakfast and lunch, and they're not going to get that in the summer. And they also depend on the care and love that their teachers support them with, and they're not going to get that over the summer. So I have some students that are sort of reaching out behavior-wise that are really struggling. So please keep them in your thoughts.
Hello, my name is Susan, and what I always thought would be the absolute darkest day of my life, of my MS life. So it was a concern that, you know, a wheelchair just symbolized everything that possibly I had lost. But I have to say, after 2 weeks of total exhaustion, the reality sort of filtered in. So instead of that day being a horrendous, dark day, it was a joy, because I got measured for a wheelchair, and it's going to be an ultralight pixie. Well, can you imagine naming an adult wheelchair a pixie? At any rate, and then there was this kind of calming of myself, because I wasn't going to have to be exhausted for the rest of my life. So, there you go.
Ultralight pixie. Next week we're gonna have to bring the dust.
That absolutely sounds like a band name. That's a band name for sure. Hi, I'm Josh. Man, mystery, uncertainty. Last time I was up here, I talked about my thankfulness for science and medicine and being able to see all you beautiful people now. And 3 days after that, I was diagnosed with cancer. Not really sure where to go with this. I know that there are survivors here, caregivers and family members. If you're willing, you know, I'd love to hear your stories, your everything, your recipes, tips, tricks, hacks, your magic, your laughter, your magic laughter. I don't know why I'm, you know, I know why I'm up here, because in the 3 years I've been hanging around here, I know that I can share this and be embraced and be safe and be with the community that I trust and I love. I love every one of you. And we're gonna get through this. I don't really have a choice. Sherry has made a decision. And anyone who's ever been on a board with her knows that arguing is not really worth it. So, you know, treatment is upcoming. I don't know what it looks like yet, but we'll be all right. Thanks.
So the past 7 years have been marked by a lot of loss and a lot of trying to figure out how to remain in the world. And this looks like it's a sorrow, it's a joy. Spoilers. Some of you know that I recently bought the house I'd been renting with my partner of 25 years, who passed in 2019. And I moved upstairs, and that was part of trying to understand how to be in the world. But yesterday, I went to a party in the apartment that used to be ours. The amount of joy that I remember in that place is immense. And I went into a place completely transformed, and yet it was the place I knew. And I've always been fascinated by houses and if they could talk and tell us everything that happened. But to be part of this gathering of people having such a beautiful time in such a different way was extraordinary and quite a gift.
Hi, my name is Mara Pentlarge. I had a good time yesterday at the DCU Center. It's this big, cavernous space, 4,000 delegates from across the state for the Massachusetts Democratic Convention. And really the task was to decide whether Markey was going to get the endorsement or Seth Moulton. But they seated us by our state senators. So I was in Robin Kennedy's collection of people, and Peter Durant's was over there, and Michael Moore's was I don't know where they were. But I knew about a dozen people out of that crowd of delegates. The mayor, my city, couple of city councilors, my state representative, my state senator, and other activists. So I had a good time, and I want to share that with you.
Good morning. My name is Dawn Dowd. Before I share for our online community, I feel like I need to say something about me. I don't know quite how to say it. So I have a sorrow joy because I've decided to let go of a relationship that no longer meets my emotional place or spiritual place, and I am frightened about what that means because it hopefully means something good, but the unknown and the mystery is really scary. Meanwhile, I have the honor of sharing joys and sorrows for our online community, and I have a message from Cheryl Lachey, who you may know. Cheryl and Bruce are away touring Europe. She's sent some lovely pictures, which I'm happy to share, and said that she misses home, but they are having a good time. But she also shared a sorrow. So from Cheryl, my dear friend Nancy died last Sunday. I found out in Norway and will miss her service. I'm so very grateful I had her in my life, saying prayers for her family.
Let us be in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, source of our inner and outermost being, substance of mystery that frightens us and also gives us courage. Mindful this day of the gift of health and wholeness and the challenge of dis-ease and the opportunity that we have to bring our best selves to all of it. Help us reflect the deep and abiding love that exists at the center and core of our existence into every quaking part of our bodies and of the world. Help us be mind-filled, but more so heartful, that we have the opportunity to companion each other in these moments. When memory brings to mind beloved parents, colleagues, friends, that we open ourselves to both joy and for opportunities yet to be known to us. For all of this and so much more, we give great and abiding thanks. Amen, and blessed be. Would you please join together in our responsive reading that was handed out with your orders of service? There are questions that can never truly be answered. There are truths that are beyond proof. There are paths full of fog and shadow. There is beauty that defies explanation. Let us not fear the unknown, for mystery is the breath of the sacred, and wonder is the light that guides our way. Would you please join together in our closing hymn, number 1001, found in your teal hymnals. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voices of the waters. Whoosh, whoosh, those who have midnight never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rusty trees, they are in the groaning woods, they are in the crying grass, they are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. The ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zawoosh, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a part with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So beings, listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zawoosh, whoosh, zawoosh,
Beloved, go forth into the world not seeking perfect answers, but carrying the peace that comes from living the questions. May the mystery of life hold you gently. May the wonder keep you humble. May you trust the truths of your body when your mind is vexed. And may love, unexplained, unbounded, and ever-present, be your companion on the road ahead. Amen. And blessed be. Please be seated. Are there any announcements this morning? Please, can
There'll be a discussion in the lounge after coffee hour. Side with Love is holding it to talk about the Worcester Police Department and the investigation of the Department of Justice, et cetera. And Indivisible Worcester is joining us.
And Michelle, where are you? Is she here? She's doing coffee hour. So a part of the investment committee, treasurer, but she will be available also for those of you who want to discuss anything financial matter related to the annual meeting that's coming up. If you have questions about our endowment or our investments, you're welcome to ask Margot Stone or Tom Pierce, or who else is here that's on the investment committee? So have at it. Huh? Catherine Roberts, who's down in Fellowship Hall. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing you. This is a very, very busy week here. I want to remind you that if you've not yet signed up to volunteer for the yard sale, now is your time. We need as many hands on deck as we can during Saturday. So please see Michelle when you're down in Fellowship Hall. And once again, beloved, our worship here has ended, but our service continues next with our yard sale.